Pasco police received a 911 call from a woman who was asking for help. However, the phone call shortly disconnected. When police went back to re-listen to the phone call, they could hear that at the beginning of the call, it sounded like a gunshot. Then you hear some talking, but police stated the words were, quote, unintelligible, something to the effect of, "Stop, give me that, help." Then the phone call hangs up. When dispatchers called the number back, a woman answered, but it was evident that smoke detectors were going off in the background. The woman on the phone claimed that the original 911 call was a mistake and she was just trying to change the smoke detector batteries. Now, despite this woman's claim that everything was fine, that the call was a mistake, the dispatcher followed protocol and had an officer check on the house. A neighbor then approached the officer and claimed that he heard a shot from across the street, then shortly after heard another shot go off. This is when the neighbor would go on to tell the officer that 3 people resided in the home, which consisted of 58-year-old Judy, her 37-year-old daughter Tasha, and her 7-year-old granddaughter. Now, according to documents, when the officer returned back to the house, Tasha came to the front door and said, quote, "She came at me with an axe." When the officer told Tasha what the neighbor had heard, Tasha admitted she had fired shots and did in fact hit the person she fired at. This is when the officer went inside and found a gruesome scene. Firefighters were dispatched to the home at 2:43 p.m. and arrived at the scene 9 minutes later when they found Judy in the hallway, partially lying in a bedroom doorway with a mangled left hand, injury to the back of her head, and a gunshot wound to her chest. When questioned by police, Tasha stated that she shot her mother in self-defense because her mom was coming at her with a hatchet after they got into a heated argument. Also, Judy was not only holding a cordless phone when she was found, but was also holding a file folder which appeared to have a bullet hole that went through her chest cavity. So she's got a phone on one hand, a file folder on the other. How would she be able to hold a hatchet? The final piece of evidence that really dismantled Tasha's account of what happened is that police were able to determine that Judy had been hit in the head with the hatchet after she had already passed away from the gunshot. So nonetheless, after a month-long trial, the jury had 443 items of evidence to consider. After 8.5 hours of jury deliberations, the jury would not only find her guilty of first-degree murder, but also guilty of first-degree attempted murder. The judge then sentenced Tasha to 45 years in prison